You know how much we love budget customizations here at Zedline, so I'm going to show you how I turned my wheels from this into this. First thing we've got to do is that car wash you've been putting off for weeks, you lazy little. Go ahead with a pressure washer and get as much dirt off as you can. If you don't have your own, you can go to a self-serve car wash. Spritz on a bunch of your favorite wheel cleaner, don't be shy. I have links to every product I use in the description below if you want to help out the channel. And get a wheel brush and just agitate the surface. And then you can wash all the excess off with a power washer and do this as many times as you need until you have a perfectly clean wheel. Next you got to take the wheels off the car. If you don't have your own jack and jack stands, you can use the scissors jack that came with your car and just do one wheel at a time. Get an empty spray bottle, fill it with water, add a few drops of soap, and clean off your wheel one more time with the soapy water and a lint-free towel. Including tools, you can expect to spend as little as $25 per wheel. But this is the perfect option if you don't want to spend a fortune on powder coating and you absolutely loathe plasti-dip. So if your wife drives your car, make sure you get rid of the Curb Rash first. I'm kidding. No big deal, just sand it down. I'm using 150 grit sandpaper. You can use it with water or without. What the water does, it helps your sandpaper prevent from getting clogged up, but it also prevents the dust from spreading around. So if you're in an indoor place like me, then it's pretty necessary that you use the water. So it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, just get all those major grooves out. Now that we've scuffed off the surface, you're going to want to do another pass with soapy water to get rid of all those extra contaminants we just sanded off. So it's going to come out black. Yeah, you can see all that paint. Keep cleaning until your towels don't look like used toilet paper, and then do a final pass with 70% alcohol. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the cleaning part because we're going to apply vinyl wrap to the surface of the wheel. So if there's any loose dirt or dust, it might show up through the vinyl, but more importantly, it's going to stop the vinyl from sticking well. So you're going to want to approach it differently depending on the complexity and the contours of your wheel. If you have a flat-faced wheel, congratulations, your life's a lot easier than mine, you little twerp. But if your wheel face has a lot of depth and grooves like mine, then buckle up, because we got a lot of work to do. So the first thing we need to figure out is how much vinyl we're going to need. Vinyl's usually sold in 5-foot rolls, so you just have to choose the length. Unless you drive a tank or an airliner, 5 feet across is going to fit about 2 wheels. So it's safe to say that a 5-foot by 5-foot roll is going to be enough to cover the face of the wheels. If you want to wrap the inside of the barrel too, these are your measurements. First of all, grab some tissues because we're going to be doing math. Get the width of your wheel. Add a couple inches just to be safe. Multiply that by 4. That's how wide your vinyl needs to be. And then you grab your wheel size, aka the diameter, and you multiply that by 3.14. So now we have the dimensions of the material required for all 4 barrels. If both of your measurements exceed 5 feet, you're going to have to divide the width by 2 and multiply the length by 2. The best way to go about wrapping a complex wheel is by using a series of inlays. Making inlays just means that you use more than one piece of vinyl to cover a given surface. Professional wrappists use inlays when the limitations of the vinyl prevent them from doing it in one piece, and we're going to apply that same principle. Here's how I broke down my wheel. The black sections represent unwrapped areas. You can see that I split the barrel into 4 quarters, which let me hide the seams behind the spokes. I wrapped the outer lip with a strip of vinyl all the way around rather than use one big piece, which requires a lot more patience, but it saved me a lot of vinyl. The process involves outlining your desired shape for the vinyl piece using Knifeless Tape, which is a special tape that has a thread embedded in it. The thread cuts through the vinyl when you pull it off, and it makes perfect cuts without any risk of damaging anything underneath. So once the surface is clean, lay the segments of tape in one consistent direction as opposed to disconnected or parallel, because you need to take it off in a first one in, last one out fashion, meaning that the last piece of tape that you put down will be the first one you remove. Once you've laid the last piece of tape, fold the end of it so you know which one to remove first after you've laid the vinyl on top. I'm not going to go over the vinyl laying process because this video would be way too long if I did. There's a ton of videos online. I personally recommend CK wraps. I'm not a smart man, but I know what YouTube is. If I can figure it out, you can too. Depending on the brand of tape, the cutting process will be a little bit different. I'll show you how to do it with the budget option wrap cut that I used. The string in this tape is off to one side for this brand, so make sure the string is facing the inside of your shape. Separate the string from the tape right up until the vinyl. Once you get to the vinyl, hold the vinyl down and then give it a good tug. Follow through and you'll have a clean cut. Be sure to give yourself enough tape at the end so that you can get a good grip on the string. Otherwise, you're going to need to use tweezers or something. The 3M option is going to be a lot easier to create bends and curves with, but this one will work just fine as long as you apply heat. The heat makes the adhesive stickier, but be careful not to overheat it or you'll separate the string from the tape, which is really useful when you're trying to remove it, but please use a wrap glove and don't burn your hand. In general though, don't try to make sharp turns with knifeless tape, instead just use multiple pieces. Once you've laid the vinyl and made your cuts, go over everything with a heat gun and make sure nothing peels up. If it does, you probably stretched it too much. If the peel up is small enough, simply trim off the excess. Just don't leave it peeled up because that defect will make it peel up even more over time. If you want to go the extra mile to make it perfect, leave it out in the sun for an afternoon, and then trim or rewrap any defective pieces. This last bit is optional, but I highly recommend using a ceramic coating designed for vinyl on the finished wheel. It's expensive, but it'll protect it and make it a lot easier to clean the dirt and brake dust off. A great tip to make it look seamless is to line up your cuts with the sculpted lines/edges of the wheel. This works unbelievably well when you connect two inlays together, and it even worked with blending the carbon vinyl to my black wheel. If you look at the lip right underneath the valve stem, you can see an example of a seam that doesn't line up with the body line. This one's an indispensable piece of advice. Wrap the metal tip of your heat gun with tinfoil and tape it to the plastic body. This reduces your chances of getting burned by like 1,000%. Can you tell that I'm speaking out of experience? Also, it protects you from accidentally burning the vinyl, which is a nice plus. And my final tip is that you can use the knifeless tape for making regular non-inlay cuts if you're worried about damaging your wheel with a knife. Alright, I'm going to end the official video off now, but if you want to see how I dealt with a valve stem, stick around till the end of the video. That being said, it is time for the shameless plug. If you found any value in this video— Hey, don't skip forward, what are you doing? If you found any value in this video, I would really appreciate if you return the favor. Now, I'm not telling you to buy stuff, but if you're gonna, use any of my affiliate links in the description below. It doesn't cost you an extra dime, but Amazon gives me a little commission for anything you buy. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to support me and you want to see more, go ahead and do that. Call to action. I want to see your results. Send them to me on my Instagram or email me. And if I'm impressed, I'll feature your work in a future video. And if there's enough demand for it in the comments, I'll post a full-length video of my wrap process, so let me know if you'd like to see that. Thank you for watching and subscribe for future videos. Anyway, enough of my crusty present self. Let's go back to past me to figure out how I wrapped over the valve stem. So now what we gotta do is, if you look here, right before we laid, this is exactly where the hole for the valve is gonna be. So that means we wanna make an incision right about there. And I just poke a hole and I'm twisting the knife through it. That's all I need. And now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna heat this. I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to stretch it a lot. Okay. And now you can see that little hole is getting bigger because we're stretching it. So if you look over here where I'm stretching, that's the valve cover. And boom, just like that. Now, the vinyl is over the valve. So, since we pre-stretched this, after we pulled it over, when we heat it up, now it's going to go right back down. It's going to want to cling closer to the base there where it belongs.